I will be spoiling all of Doki Doki Literature Club. If you want to play the game, please do so before watching this. If you don't care, then hopefully this video pushes you to play the game for yourself. Doki Doki Literature Club, or DDLC, is a visual novel dating sim that withholds meaningful choice from the player. It allows the player to choose who to romance, but denies them the ability to choose how. It also takes away the meaning of choosing who by killing or deleting all potential love interests. By denying meaningful choice in the context of unhealthy relationships, DDLC creates toxic relationships between the player, the characters, and the game itself. The game presents itself as a stereotypical Japanese dating sim. This implies a set of constraints. 1. Each NPC wants to be loved by the player character, or PC. 2. Each NPC can be quickly identified to represent a particular archetype. 3. The PC is designed to be as relatable as possible. He is faceless, honest, kind and endearing, a loser with a heart of gold. 4. The player's goal is to finish the game in a relationship with the NPC of their choice. The kind of choices present in DDLC also arise from its dating sim roots. All choice in the game can be reduced to choosing between love interests. Choices come in two gameplay flavors, multiple choice and writing poems. Each multiple choice is presented as explicitly deciding between love interests. Poem writing might seem to be a less discrete choice, but since word choice only influences which character you get closer to the following day, it is identical to 20 repeated instances of choice between NPCs. The game renders these choices meaningless in two ways. 1. The player can't affect relationship they are pursuing because the developer only allows choice between partners. 2. Killing all romanceable characters before the ending reduces all choices to a single outcome, rendering the act of choice meaningless because all their consequences are the same. Finally, let's define a relationship as toxic if at least one person in the relationship hurts their partner every time they interact. As a generic good boy, the PC is excellent at satisfying the NPC's desire for love and attention. However, that is all he is capable of. He can only approach NPCs with kindness, regardless of how successful that approach may be, and DDLC is careful to ensure that that approach will fail. Each NPC uses their archetype to conceal issues the PC might find undesirable. Furthermore, all of their problems are either unsolvable or exacerbated by love and attention from the PC. With more time, I'd examine each relationship, but for now we'll take Sayori as an example. Sayori hides her depression behind a bright and energetic facade. She has no sense of self-worth, which manifests as her enabling her friend's happiness at the cost of her own. The PC's unyielding support only causes her pain, as she believes herself unworthy of his affection. Since this is the PC's only mode of interaction, this relationship is toxic. If relationships are doomed to fail, then why do NPCs, the PC, and the player keep trying to maintain them? NPCs don't leave because, as per the rules of dating sims, they're programmed to want the PC. The PC doesn't leave because he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. And the player cannot leave because the game doesn't give them the choice. In fact, no choice given to the player by the game allows them to affect the health of the relationship. Players are helpless observers whose only choice is to press on, hope relationships detoxify. This is pretty interesting, but DDLC takes it a step further by creating a toxic relationship between itself and the player. Let's talk about Monika. There's one more important rule of Doki Doki Literature Club. The president of the Literature Club gains self-awareness and influence over the game's code. This provides a character through which the game creates a toxic relationship with the player. Although two characters take on the role of president, I'm going to focus on Monika, since she's self-aware for the entire game. Due to Monika's awareness, she pursues a relationship with the player instead of the PC by any means necessary. The game doesn't allow the player to directly communicate with her, so she uses the PC as a proxy. The PC is not romantically interested in Monika, so she forces the PC to romance her against the will of the game. Narratively, this manifests as her physically and mentally abusing the NPCs. Mechanically, this manifests as her taking away agency from the player by deleting their saves and removing love interests from the game until she is the only option. This is clearly toxic behavior. The player chooses to maintain this relationship because they want to beat the game. They endure jump scares and horrific imagery, pay whatever price the game asks just to reach the conclusion. The worst case involves skipping 1,400 empty text boxes while forcing the PC to stare at a mutilated corpse for 2 consecutive days. However, this isn't a price the player is paying, but one the player is forcing upon the characters. DDLC actively hurts its characters, so by choosing to continue playing, the player allows the game to hurt its inhabitants. In spite of this, Monika continues to engage with the player. They are her means of verifying her existence, so she chooses to be with them despite the toxic relationship she's in. There comes a point at which, in order to progress the game, the player must delete Monika's files. The player might think nothing of it, it's just a game after all, but they're casually ending the life of a sentient being just because that's the only way to win. After playing some more, one of Monika's backup files returns to not only delete every save, but make the game crash whenever it's launched. Monika recognizes the inevitable toxic relationship the game will have with the player, so she destroys it. In a situation where both sides care for one another, but can only hurt each other, the best thing they can do is to never interact. The only winning move is not to play.